move on to discuss Brian Flores and whether or not he can get an opportunity to be an NFL head coach. Again, he was on the Adam Schefter podcast actually, and he talked about potentially seeking that opportunity to be a head coach. Again, and obviously with Brian Flores, there's some controversy that surrounds him. He happens to be over the last few years now a little bit of a controversial figures because of the lawsuits against the league with the head coaching, the discrimination lawsuit he had with the league a few seasons ago, and then now early on this year was Tua and his comments that he had on the coaching of Brian Flores, essentially calling him a terrible person and someone who shattered his confidence, and but what Brian Flores has been able to do this season is be the coordinator of one of the best units in football in that Minnesota Vikings defense. They have been absolutely elite as a unit this season defensively. I believe they are in terms of points per game. They are what was it? I need to pull it up. They allow I had the statistics pulled up, but you don't want to wait. They allow 17.4 points a game. They've only allowed 2,798 yards of total offense this season, which is about 310 yards a game, but 17 points per game. They've been very, very solid unit defensively this season in total defense, and their defense has really rised up this season against good teams. Here now I found the ranking. They're third in terms of points per game allowed, only behind the Steelers and the Chargers, who have been absolutely elite on that side of the ball this season. They are such a great unit. Minnesota's defense is, and he's had very very good games against brilliant offensive coordinators and been able to shut down what they've been trying to do. I remember what he did to the Kyle Shanahan 49ers, what he did to Jordan Love and the Packers earlier on this season, what he did to CJ Stroud and the Texans. So and then now these last two games, he has completely eaten up Joe Flacco and Mac Jones. Look, Brian Flores is a really, really good coach. Even you go back to those Miami days, he did a very, very good coaching job with that team. I think he got the best out of that team. He narrowly missed the playoffs 2 seasons in a row, but they were, when he took over that team, it was the worst team in football, most dysfunctional mess. And you remember that first season, that team was losing 50-0 on a consistent basis for the first couple of weeks. But he was able throughout that season to turn around, and he won 6 games with one of the worst rosters in NFL history. I have to say that Miami Dolphins team was absolutely horrendous. That following season, they're in a position to get Tua. They end up making a late season run. They couldn't get into the playoffs. Similar thing the following year, after starting off really, really poorly, they're able to make that late push. They narrowly miss out to the playoffs yet again. And then suddenly, the Miami Dolphins ownership group decides to part ways. Then it leads to the lawsuits coming up with all the things. I don't want to go too much in depth on that, but it's out there. The Bill Belichick text messages, all that. I would assume you generally know the details, but he has been a little bit of a war with the NFL. And then now this season, the big thing this season before, or not the big thing, but the more recent thing this season before the season, Tua Tagovailoa's comments on Brian Flores, essentially basically nailing down the coffin on his chances on his chances to be an NFL head coach with what he said after labeling him as a terrible person, and how he shattered his confidence and all that. With how, here's the thing, a lot of former Patriots coaches who coached under Bill Belichick, they want to instill that Patriots culture that, they get into other organizations and they see that they're way off it, and they try to instill that Patriots culture in there where you have to you have to steadily do it. It comes with the results that you can install that sort of no nonsense culture, because if you're not getting the Super Bowls but you're still working them extremely hard, if you're still heavily criticizing them, they're gonna lose that respect and adulation over that they should have over a higher authority like a head coach, because the results are not there and we're getting treated like garbage. Bill Belichick, he was able to get away with that, number one, in the fact that nobody was above the law. Even Tom Brady would get absolutely ridiculed and dog walked and all that. We saw Chad Johnson. He said his first team meeting, Bill Belichick was tearing apart Tom Brady in a film session. When you're doing that to the top guy, it sets the tone. And what happened? But that was a team in Patriots that have already won a few Super Bowls still, so they had that culture already instilled. You have to install a winning culture before you implement that Patriots way. And I think Josh McDaniels has struggled with it. Matt Patricia, we know what Darius Slay after. A lot of these guys, these former Patriots head coaches that go on to become coaches, they have players that come out after that coach's tenure and they completely berate them. We saw what Darius Slay said about Matt Patricia after I think it was after Darius Slay eventually got traded. We see with Darius Slay, he came out with negative comments against Matt Patricia. Tua with Brian Flores. It seems like everybody that's been anywhere surrounding Josh McDaniels at the Raiders and the Broncos have nothing but negative things to say about him. You just have to find that right balance, and that, I thought those two things, the combination of the NFL lawsuit and what Tua said, was potentially the death of Brian Flores as becoming a coordinator. But again, I think becoming a coach again. But I think everything heals with time. And I think what Brian Flores is doing with this team defensively, I say they're ranked number 3 in terms of points per game, but they're also ranked number 1 in NFL based on DVOA. And Brian Flores is one of the top performing coordinators in the league. There's no way denying it. I have to say, he deserves another opportunity to become a head coach, and he says he would love that opportunity to become a head coach. He said, look, there's only 32 of these jobs, so I would certainly want to be a head coach in this league again. I think he will get that opportunity, because he's a brilliant football mind, and he has been able to have successful seasons as a head coach. But it won't be difficult for him. There's no doubt about that. It will be difficult for him. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that